Hey, and let's begin. So, after adjusting the exposure like I always have to, or almost, I'm almost like Greg Doucette. He's right only 99.7 times, 99.7% of the times, and I only need to do this 99.7% of the times. Otherwise, it's working perfectly. So, lately I was kind of finding myself in this posture where I was discussing many times, and also I made countless videos by now on this topic on why, weights and numbers in the gym, especially, also with the arm wrestling specific exercises with the back pressure, the wrist curls, the supination, pronation and cupping and rising and all that thing. Why these exercises with weights don't necessarily translate always in the same manner at the arm wrestling table. And again, I won't be going into the whole thing that I already discussed so many times, and it has been discussed so many times on social media and whatever. But I had this sort of like idea while discussing with someone. So I had this idea on how to better present this with numbers, because sometimes in certain situations with certain people, this debate can be going on forever, back and forth in a circle, whatever. However, when you start throwing numbers into the equation, you can sway them in either direction. So here's the thing. First of all, we all know that John Brzenk, the undisputed GOAT, no matter what anyone says, was never like this gym freak. He rarely, if ever, trains with weights or trained with weights throughout his career. His go-to discipline was, if you want to be great at arm wrestling or whatever thing in life, go do that thing. So he was arm wrestling in order to become a better arm wrestler, and look at his results, right? So many decades of sheer dominance. And we also have a lot of other guys who are not necessarily the strongest in the gym. Even Devin fits the category, and a lot more people fit the category, and they're at the very top of the pyramid. However, I would say ever since this thing has started to gain popularity on YouTube, with all these people maxing themselves out with these standard exercises with the handles and everything, it's almost like an ego spark for everyone out there, including us, the fans. We want to see how we measure up against those numbers, and we just want to all of a sudden start topping each other's numbers into the gym. Here's the thing. Again, I'll be using John and all of the other guys as a reference, and here's why I think that not only were they able to be an exception, because people think, yeah, well, he was an exception because blah, 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 blah. I do not think that he was just an exception. I think probably there's a very good reason for why people who are great arm wrestlers, not just strong arm wrestlers, because the very strong arm wrestlers who are not necessarily the best arm wrestlers probably are from those bunch of guys who have big numbers in the gym. But the super well-rounded arm wrestlers and the real technical proficient arm wrestlers, in my opinion, there's a reason why they are where they are at, and why they do not do so well into the gym when it comes to gym lifts, and also why this is never a part of their regime or regimen or whatever you want to call it. So here's the thing. Usually what I think happens is that when you start having all of these isolated exercises in the gym, not just the classical bodybuilding, powerlifting type of exercises, but the arm wrestling specific ones, the rising, the back pressure, the cupping, the pronation, supination, all of these things, the side curls, the side pressure. Still, they're isolated elements, and I think what happens is that people get a tendency to see where their big, where their strengths are, where their weaknesses are, and in general, they approach this very power oriented, which eventually translates in the fact that they become these very unidimensional arm wrestlers who almost become like a one-trick pony in terms of strength and technique. Strength purely dominating over technique. So they tend to become these pullers who have a great bicep and just rely on their bicep and hope to win every match by pulling with their bicep, or having great back pressure, or having a very strong wrist, very strong side pressure, or very strong push, similar to what the bench press is giving you. So I think what happens is that they approach the sport from a very I would say not just wrong, which is what I'm getting at, but they approach the sport from a very scientific on one hand, but also on the other hand, limited, kind of like path, or call it whatever. The idea is that they kind of put all of their eggs in one basket, and we've heard this countless times that you should have this one great thing, and you should power through with that thing, and whatever else you might have is just a bonus to make you a bit more well-rounded. Here's the thing: truly great arm wrestlers are not only super well-rounded and very balanced across all techniques and all body parts and areas and stuff like that, but also this ties in directly with the fact that the reason why they're not the best in the gym is that, for example, they might have, I don't know, let's compare them to a guy who has like a 100 pound on a back pressure lift, just for the sake of simplicity. Probably the guy who's like not doing all of these lifts won't ever have the 100 pounds for this exercise. However, he's able to bring 45 pounds plus 15 pounds from the wrist plus 10 more pounds from the pronation, or vice versa with the supination in the hook. He's able to engage his shoulder for 15, 20 extra pounds. He's able to use his lat drag for additional leverage for, again, a few pounds here and there. And all of these things, not only do they accumulate to the point where they approach the 100 pounds, or they match or even exceed the 100 pounds, which ultimately leads to victory, but also not having like this this very unidimensional style of pulling. Still, you put your opponent out of whack, sort of, because you're changing so much, you're trying so many different things throughout the match, while they're just stuck in this bicep hold or defensive top roll, or whatever sort of weird thing they might be doing, and they just hope to outwin you as the time goes by, which probably doesn't happen. And the thing is that you also have the added value of shock, because again, you're like 30 pounds versus 15 pounds versus 60 pounds, 75 pounds again. You're trying all of these things, on such a with such a rapid, fast-paced type of engagement, and you're just so diverse. You're like, it's like pulling out a knife, cutting things a bit, then shooting your 9mm, then throwing a grenade, then punching a little bit, kicking, taking a baseball bat, smacking the guy, versus just having a heavy ass machine gun, just trying to aim, and whenever you miss, you're just fucked. So I think, again, the power of the synergistic effect, if you will, by having a little bit here, a little bit there, and whatever. I think it's almost like the opposite of the dogma, the stigma that you'd better be a master at one versus jack of all trades and stuff like that. I think probably in a lot of situations, on the table, it's a lot better to be a jack of all trades versus just being the master of one thing. Obviously, there's pluses and minuses for all of those things. Obviously, if you're just stupidly powerful with that one thing that you're doing, you will just be blasting through no matter what sort of technique you have, or the opponent has. If you're just able to have like 200 or 300 pounds on any of these poles, you're like, fuck it. Doesn't matter if I bring 60 pounds here, 20 pounds there, whatever. I talked about this in great detail in one of my previous videos, where I talked about the realities of the sport, whether it's a strength-based sport, how much technique matters or doesn't matter. If it's more of a combat sport, like a miniature martial art or whatever. So I think the miniature martial art is something that Devin coined. But my idea and your idea, we pretty much know this. It's a very old principle that everyone is talking about for decades now. So that was it. Basically, I just wanted to put a different analogy behind this with numbers that eventually gather, and the combined power of many surpasses the singular power of just one or two. And I just wanted to like make this analogy. Obviously, it's a simplistic and silly analogy, but I find that, at least in some situations, in some discussions, unless you go this extra mile with this type of analogy, if you just approach the conversation from this philosophical perspective and you keep it a bit too abstract, you kind of go around in circles. Whereas when you start discussing numbers, you can at least have these separations, clear separations for some people. They are able to understand that clearly you're right in this aspect, here you're not that right, because they have a very valid counter argument with numbers or with certain types of exercises, activities, where they can prove or disprove certain things. So some people probably like to have this discussion going a bit more practical. But that's why I wanted to offer this alternative view on this age-old topic. So let me know what you guys think about this. I know I'm rehashing this subject for like the billionth time, but pretty much these are never-ending subjects that eventually are being discussed, rediscussed, and will continue being discussed on YouTube and everywhere else, probably for as long as this sport will exist. So I'm just jumping in every now and then when I have some idea, new perspective, or thing that I want to share that I forgot to address in one of the other videos and stuff like that. So please let me know what you thought about this. Like it if you did, dislike it twice if you did dislike it. Hate, troll, share, subscribe, unsubscribe, do whatever you feel that is necessary. But until next time, I'm out. My rambling stops now in 3, 2, 1, and let's hope I'm able to close it.